right, you're watching TVC Breakfast. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission says it will work with the Federal Bureau of Investigation in fishing out about 80 Nigerians indicted in a $46 million fraud case in the United States.
Well, a statement released by the U.S. government revealed that the suspects either played major roles in the alleged fraud or acted as accomplices. According to the indictment, the accused used business email compromise frauds, romance scams and schemes targeting the elderly to defraud victims.
14 of these suspects have been arrested, while others are believed to be in Nigeria. Joining me now is a cybersecurity professional, Olatunji Igbalajobi. It's nice to have you join us right now.
I'm a player here.
Good. Now, make us understand, when it comes to this internet fraud or cyber fraud and all of that, how did we get here that it has become so rampant?
We didn't just get here in a day. Yeah, it's a systemic problem in Nigeria. You know, it's a deep rot in our system, and if you don't address it from that angle, you know, it looks like as if you are putting a square peg in a round hole, and you know what that means. We'll continue to revolve around the same circle.
Is this a product of the unemployment we've been talking about and so on?
A lot of factors contributed into this.
What
a
are
lot
those
of factors? Community factors, you know, family factors, not having proper upbringings. You know, quite a lot of people said, you know, they venture into it because that's the last hope. You know, you have quite numbers of graduates who, you know, see cybercrime as a lucrative business. You know, it's an industry in Nigeria. It's a very big industry. And, you know, the trend now is, you know, is alarming in the sense that the moral value, the value that we have in the country today, you know, is already degenerated.
All right. Talk to us about how this operates. How do they become so successful with carrying out some of their scams where people don't get to notice until monies are released? Well,
there are methods, you know, there is intelligence in this. I mean, that is one fact we can't throw away. Okay. Especially if you look at the incident that happened in the US, the attackers who actually carry out this, you know, this act, they make use of what we call the business email scam, and it's an advanced fee fraud. You know, there are methods they actually use in going about that. There's something we call phishing, and the spear phishing attack. You know, a phishing attack is trying to throw a bait at someone, and there are methods they can actually use to do that. It could be in form of social engineering. You know, for the romance scam, most of the time it's a social engineering attack, you know, which is hacking of the mind. You know, I try to get you, you know, more very easy to talk, communicate with me, you know, because, you know, people over there, you know, trust is easy for them, and then, you know, they were able to convince them, then start communicating, believing that you're actually talking to someone who probably lives in the US as well. And from there, they start exchanging, you know, information on how to actually, you know, get money, you know, transferred to Nigeria. And for the business email scam, you know, most of the time the phishing comes in form of an email attachment, you know, and it could also come in form of an attacker sending a link or an email to a company, whereby, you know, unfortunately, the recipient of the email did not take due diligence to check, you know, the source of the email, and maybe it's an attachment, and an attachment that has been wrapped with a virus. So once it's downloaded on the system, it's already sitting on that guy's system, then it might be in a method whereby, you know, the guy is not even interested in the person he actually sent the email to. He's actually interested in infiltrating the network to really understand the architecture of the organization and see how he can map his attack. So there are a lot of intelligence into it. It's not just, you know, it revolves.
How challenging would it be, or it is, for an agency like the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission to detect some of these things even before it happens?
You know, basically, EFCC, you know, can only carry out investigation, you know, upon, you know, make a report, or upon suspects, you know, being flagged.
They can be prevented?
You know, preventing it, you know, it depends on the method of attacks. You know, most of these attacks outside the country. So it also boils down to the SAT, the Incident Response Management of the country.
Isn't there a cyber watch in the space of Nigeria? Isn't there something like that that watches the cyberspace?
Well, so to speak, there is a cybersecurity incident response, you know, center in Nigeria with the SAT-MG. How effective that is, I can't really see, you know. how effective it is to monitor activities of internet user. That I can't really speak so much on, but I know there is one. But effectively, you know, I really don't know how far we have gone in managing that space.
All right. Now, talk to us about the implication of some of these issues on the image of Nigeria, because if you look at the 78 list, certainly it's obvious a lot of them, most of them, let's say 98% of them are Nigerians. We also hear sometimes that there are others who claim that they are Nigerians while they are not. But the point there is that these are Nigerians from the names that we have seen. Yeah. What is the implication for the country like Nigeria?
It's a big dent on Nigeria, and we don't have to tribalize this issue. And that is one of the issues that is going on now. You know, it portrays Nigeria bad in the community of other nations. You know, people who are into legit opportunity or legit business, you know, who are looking for opportunity outside the country, it already gives us an image. You know, you approach an embassy today, when they hear you are Nigerian, you know, the skepticism gets high, you know, deny people an opportunity to take their product, their expertise out of the country. So it's a big dent on the image of the country. And then we have to look at it from that angle that it is a national problem. It is not, you know, a sectional problem. When you look at the names of those people that are there, some people are saying, you know, these are from so region, this of region. But the fact is that we forget that there is a big name that was mentioned, which is Nigeria.
Exactly.
And so then we have to consider this as a national problem and putting, you know, a right measures in place, you know, to curb this menace. It's a big menace in the country.
Right.
Good morning.
Welcome to TVC Breakfast.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, so it's like the tables have turned now, or the case has shifted to the Nigerian side now, and how well EFCC and its allies will be able to aid this international investigation to find this remaining arrest. What do you have to say about this, Cobb? We've seen EFCC, though, rather active, but, you know, rather this twist now. How comfortable are you with this entire process?
EFCC has to do its job, and other security agencies that, you know, should be involved. And I believe EFCC has intelligence to be able to, you know, arrest these guys. And if you know, international, you know, extradition is invoked, and there's nothing Nigeria can do than to extradite those who are, you know, involved in this, you know, in this cartel crime. So I believe EFCC will do their best to, you know, fish out the remaining guys who are involved in this crime.
Well, perhaps maybe not in this list, but the most prominent of those said to have been arrested would be Obiwane Okeke. He was arrested a few months ago, and he's celebrated, you know, as a major tech starter, you know, tech startup originator. He's been profiled, he's been, you know, celebrated in BBC and across the world now. But now we are seeing young people, you know, being put under the spotlight, being stereotyped as a result. Does this say who we really are, so to speak?
Yeah, in a way.
Or does it just say we should just readdress the people we are celebrating? What is it for you?
Yeah, that is another area you have to look at it. You know, when the news about Invictus guys, you know, come up, you know, when they make the Forbes list, it becomes a pride for Nigerian youth. It becomes, you know, a celebrity, and why we really don't dig deep into the source of the, you know, the revenue, the source of the wealth. So that means that we have to do a lot of research, you know, carry out a lot of investigation while we are trying to profile people, you know, without knowing that some of these guys, they are actually involved, you know, in the cybercrime, you know, using other business to actually cover affairs. So we really need to dig deep, you know who we celebrated, and carry out, you know, what has been their trend. How have they been able to achieve this? So it's a global issue. It's a challenge for Nigeria, and we just have to continue to put measures in place to ensure that we curb this menace.
Now we are trying to keep up with the various tactics of these launderers now, so to speak, even though for now all these are still investigations, yes, arrests, and all that. So explain to us this BECs now. Even here in Nigeria, we've seen of, you know, people hacking into people's phones now, using WhatsApp image, WhatsApp messages. You just find out that somebody's security code has changed, especially on group chats now, and, you know, people have now been wary. Could it just be that this person's phone has been hacked and now wants to now use this to get money from innocent fellow WhatsApp users? So it's like there isn't an end. There is no end now to the tactics that these criminals devise.
Yeah, for the BA6 scam, it's an advanced scam, and most of the time, it's targeted at an individual who perceived to be an elite. There's what we call the spear phishing, which is targeted at the CEOs. You know, once the CEOs become the target audience, and the attacker is able to infiltrate the CEO's email or spoof the CEO's email, if the organization is not using what we call anti-spoofing. So what it means is that if I'm able to spoof your email, I can send an email to, let's say, for example, an account officer of the organization, claiming that the CEO, you know, sent the email because they don't have an anti-spoofing mechanism in place. They don't have an intrusion detection systems. So once the email gets to the, you know, the finance guy, because it's coming from the boss, you know, there are no, you know, second level verification.
So the scammer is working on sometimes legitimate deals.
Yeah. Okay. So, you know, they just tell you that, oh, make a transfer, because sometimes they will have even hacked into the system, you know, trying to understand what is going on, who is the vendor that they needed to, you know, make a payment to. They can actually capitalize on that and tell the financial officer to initiate the transaction and give a different account details, you know, compared to what they have in the time pass for the organization, and they make a transfer. So
and we've seen companies making huge sums now.
Huge sums of money, you know.
Where is the element of greed in all this? We've also seen scammers, you know, when they have to now confess, saying that the reason why they are still in business is because, you know, many of their victims are greedy.
Well, in terms, it depends on the attack methodology or the attack pattern. You know, greedy in the sense that are you doing business with someone, or are you trying to impersonate identity theft? You know, most of the time it escalated from identity theft to act of deception, and then, you know, get the people, you know, to communicate with them, and they start sending money in. And, you know, it's a bad image for the country. You know, it's a very, very big blunder for Nigeria, and we have to address it in that regard.
Okay, but then for third parties now, you may not be directly involved in these scams now, but what happens with what we've heard, that even, okay, they woo a lady online, and then sometimes they get to ask the lady to give them money, or sometimes they just use the lady's accounts now, you know, to siphon some money. So for the person, now, how do you guard yourself against things like that? So people are also in the FBI net just because their accounts were, you know, traced as having channeled these funds. So could there just be these people are just, you know, innocent? Is there something you can guard against in this regard?
Well, I mean, for those who accounts are actually used to actually carry out crime, you know, it's a principle of trust but verify. You know, before you start allowing somebody to use your account to move money in, you need to understand where is it coming from. You know, what's the source of the money? You don't just, you know, because you know that they told you that, oh, you're going to have a cut. You know, greed is also involved. You know, because
I think it also played out in Ponzi schemes as well.
Exactly, greed is involved, and you know, you have a percentage that you are going to take from money, and somebody just told you that, well, let's wire the money into your account, and once the money gets into your account, and you know, you have your share. And even these days, it has even moved from that conventional method. You know, it has moved from normal accounting level now, transferring money into an account. It has moved to the level of blockchain technology.
What is that?
Okay. We're talking about you know, blockchain technology, where perpetrators of this act, they have a wallet, whereby, I mean, the victim can easily send money using blockchain, and you know, it had to be traced. So that is another area that government also, I mean, the security agency has to focus in, you know, blockchain investigations, because the guys are moving from conventional bank transaction because they know, you know, EFCC is on top of their game to make an arrest. So it has now moved to blockchain, where they can easily transfer the money, and it's hard, you know, to trace, because the technology itself is developed for anonymization.
Okay, well, thank you very much now, Mr. Igbalajobi, now for your insights in tackling this international crimes that really cause a huge cause of concern there. We appreciate your analysis, Olatunji Igbalajobi. Thank you.